Welcome, everyone. I'm Dick Deming, Medical Director of Mercy One Cancer Center and the founder of Above and Beyond Cancer. Welcome to our weekly cancer education series. It's brought to you in part by a grant from the Iowa Oncology Society. And our topic tonight is dancing your way to health. And my guest is Tallis Strub. Welcome, Tallis.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Deming. Happy to be here.
And it's great to have you. Tallis is a dancer, and we're going to learn more about that. But she's also the owner of Moines Ballroom, and she's one of the program instructors for one of the classes that we have for Above and Beyond Cancer. So we're going to talk about all of the health benefits that come from dancing. But before we do that, let's learn a little bit about you, Tallis. Where are you from originally?
I am from Indianola, Iowa.
Oh, really? Okay. And so I assume you went to Indianola High.
I did. I grew up. I'm actually now living on the farm where I grew up. My husband and I and our 3 kids just moved back here about a year ago.
Oh, wow. When you were in high school in Indianola, what was your claim to fame in high school?
Claim to fame. The moonwalk. I have a mean moonwalk, and I've always been a dancer, so probably that.
That's great. You're the only person who's given that answer in like,
good.
Yeah, in 16 years of doing this show, that has never come up as anyone's claim to fame. So, and when you graduated from Indianola High, what did you do next?
I went to Iowa State University, originally for fashion design, but I changed my major 3 times. So I didn't graduate with that degree. I ended up graduating with a degree in speech communications and advertising.
Okay. And what was your very first job out of college?
Out of college, my first job was teaching a ballroom dance class.
Oh, well, nice. So
Yeah.
neither your claim to fame claim to fame in the high school was dance related. Did you dance then in college, and maybe talk a little bit about your dance career, both recreationally and professionally?
Sure. I grew up dancing. I played a lot of sports as well, but dance was definitely my main hobby, passion. I went to Iowa State University and danced on the dance team there. And that is also where I found ballroom. I'd never known that the sport of ballroom dancing existed, but it was at Iowa State where I joined a club and I started competing as a student, as an amateur. And then as I graduated from Iowa State, I had the opportunity to train with a professional who became my professional partner. So it was just a very seamless transition. Never intended to have a career in dance growing up, but that's what worked out.
So I have seen on TV, ballroom dancing competitions, and in some ways it's a little bit like pairs figure skating. But so the sport of ballroom dancing, they had a club sport in college, and from that you then met up with a professional and became professional. Is your training just one-on-one with that professional? What's training like to get ready to compete in national or international competitions?
Yes. So we had several coaches, my partner and I. Originally, I was trained by my partner, but then once we started growing, we had a coach in Minneapolis, we had a coach in Texas, and we were traveling to them to get coaching and going to competitions all over.
And you probably had a costume designer and a seamstress and...
Yes, lots of costumes. I had a spray tan artist. I also had to have my nails done and all my fake eyelashes. It was crazy.
So tell us a bit more about the professional dancing. I think you have to compete in certain set dances, and I don't know then if you get to do a freestyle where you get to choose, or how does the competition go? What are the traditional dances that you compete with in a ballroom competition?
Great question. It sounds like you actually know a little bit about this, Dr. Deming, but competitions are broken down into categories. My partner and I specialized in what's called American Smooth. So we would go out and compete in the waltz, the tango, the foxtrot, and the Viennese waltz. And we would do all 4 of those dances on the floor back to back. So think about like a sprinter doing a sprint and then doing another one and then doing another one and another one. So we would do all 4 dances on the floor, and then wait for our number to be called back. And if we got called back, then we would go again and we would do our waltz, tango, foxtrot,
And
Viennese.
each of those 4,
Yes.
they're a certain length? Are they equal length for the 4?
They're anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds. It would depend on the judges. If the judges needed more time, you kept dancing. And then when they all kind of gave the nod to the adjudicator, we could be done. So it was an endurance sport for sure. And then outside of that, my partner and I also did show dance, which is where we're the only couple on the floor. We have a choreographed routine. It usually involves lifts and a special costume. And so we did that as well.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. And
Yeah,
then was there a certain style of music, or you could choose for the show?
For the show dance, we could choose any style, any look. That was a lot more open. When you're doing the closed category, you don't actually know the music. You just know that it's going to be a waltz, and you're out there dancing with up to 8 to 10 other couples at the same time. So it's a lot about floor craft and not running into anybody, and it's crazy.
Gotcha. And are you expected, like if you're doing the waltz, that you're doing the steps that are
Yes.
traditional? You're not supposed to be doing a lot of a flourish of making up your own steps, I imagine.
Yes, it depends on the judge, really. You know,
Okay.
some of them are really particular. They're looking for feet, they're looking for technique, closure. Others are very artistic and they're looking more at your expression and how you partner and how you match the music. So there's a little bit of subjectivity in the sport there.
Yeah, which of the 4 that you competed in American Smooth, which I still trying to get my head around the tango being part of American, but
I know.
which of the 4 was your favorite to dance? Which brought you the most joy?
Oh, the Viennese waltz. It was always the 4th and final, and the music is just so expressive. And it took me back to my ballet and my jazz training. And so, yeah, I love the Viennese waltz.
Okay. What competition was your best placement? Did you do national and international?
I never competed internationally, just nationally. We won several competitions nationally in our show dance category. So when we would go out and do our solo, we did a tango a couple years in a row, and then our Viennese waltz did very well. And then we always placed in the top 5, usually top 3 for the American Smooth, which was really fun. So
awesome. What was the music for your award-winning show dance?
Are you familiar with the composer Ludovico Einaudi?
I am
He's
not.
He's a very beautiful composer, but it was an instrumental piece that we did, one of his popular songs. So
Okay, I was picturing more, a Broadway show dance.
No,
composed.
it was
this is
very moody. We wore these costumes that represented like fire and ice, and it's all instrumental. It was really fun.
beautiful. So, what have you been able to make a career out of being a dancer and a dance instructor?
Yes, competing was definitely my full-time career for a while. And what really shifted there was I wanted to go back to school and get a degree. I actually was able to go back to get my master's from the University of Iowa, where I deepened my knowledge of dance instruction and kind of codified how I teach. And that allowed me to kind of sink my roots into being more of an instructor than a competitor.
Right. And so there's a master's in like an MFA in dance, or is it?
Yes, it's dance choreography, MFA.
Oh,
Yep.
Wow. And then talk next about your studio. And so you are the owner and instructor at Moines Ballroom. Is that the right title?
Yes, that's correct.
So when did that come into fruition?
So my husband and I were living in the Iowa City area while I was going to school. And then we made the decision that we wanted to move back closer to home. We actually moved back to Des Moines proper and lived there for quite a while. And I knew the owner of Des Moines Ballroom. So I didn't start the studio. It's been in existence for quite a long time, several decades. But he and I were good friends. And in a short conversation over coffee, I purchased the studio from him. He was ready to get out. I was ready to get in. And it's been really fun. That was back in 2018. And I've had so much fun learning so much more about entrepreneurship, growing the branding. We moved the studio to a central location in Sherman Hill, and I feel like we're way more exposed now to greater Des Moines.
And besides Above and Beyond Cancer, I know that there's lots of different individuals who come to Des Moines Ballroom to learn to dance. How would you categorize the various programs that you have, and what type of clientele do you have? And do you coach anyone who's competing in the type of ballroom dance that you did?
Yeah. So the coaching for somebody who wants to compete or perform at a national level is a very small percentage of what we do. I love it. And there are people who certainly do want to do that type of ballroom dancing. But the majority of people who come through our studio are beginners, and they want to dance for their wedding, or they want to just reconnect with their spouse, or maybe find a new hobby. There may be a single person. And so that would be like 98% of the clients that we serve are people who are just trying something new. And so my heart is really in helping people develop that new skill, helping them gain confidence in something they've never tried before. And then I'm always ready. Dr. Deming, if you decide you want to go, into competitions, I'm ready for that too. It's just a
Oh,
very small portion of who we serve.
gotcha. So you really take on clients that have two left feet. You
I always do.
yeah.
That's job security for me.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, someday I will take you up on that. But so do you maybe talk to us a little bit about what that 98% of people who are coming in just to sort of learn dance. How do you need to bring your own partner? Do you
That's a great question.
how do you begin?
Oh, how do you begin? Great questions. We advertise all of our group classes and private lessons for no partner necessary. We make all of our group classes very singles friendly, and we have a system where we often utilize rotating partners to integrate singles, and it just always seems to work out in pairing people up. Now, we are not matchmakers, but I will share that it has happened that two people fell in love at our studio, and I just got to attend their wedding last December. So that does happen too, but
Okay, and tell me what was their first dance at the wedding?
so they actually had me choreograph a rumba for their first dance, and it was beautiful. Yeah.
Well, nice.
But that's the anomaly. Most of the time, yes, people are coming in either with their spouse or their partner. And if not, they're coming in on their own, and that works fine. We do private lessons as well for anybody, like I said, who just wants to get a little bit better and be in more of a private format than a group class. Or we serve a ton of wedding couples in private lessons too.
And when you have a group class, what's the typical size? How many individuals are there?
Our group classes range from about 20 to 30 people. So we do
Okay.
cap it at 32, which we have to do with some of our beginner classes. They're very popular, but I find that above that number, I myself and the other instructors, we can't give everybody the attention that we really want to. So we keep it to that 30 people, probably max.
And an evening, are they daytime, evening, some of each?
Our group classes all take place in the evening, Monday through Friday. We have group classes available every week, and those range from either a 4-week set or an 8-week set if you want to go a little bit deeper.
And what's the length of a class?
1 hour each week.
Okay, great. So that sounds like a lot of fun. What would you say would be traditionally, when you first start the music, the very first day of class,
Mm-hmm.
what music would they hear the very first class that they come to?
Well, that depends on which class they've signed up for. So we set our classes up in categories for styles. So if, for example, you want to go to a bunch of weddings and feel equipped to be on the dance floor. We're probably going to send you to our rhythm class where you'll learn a little bit of swing, a little bit of rumba, and a little bit of cha-cha. So that first week for that class, we're probably going to start with the rumba box. But there's also classes where people are very much into country music. So they might take our beginner country series, which is beginner country waltz, country polka, and country swing. And so we're gonna start whatever lane you've picked in. We're always going to start with the basic step of one of those 3 dances in the class that you've chosen.
Right. And so where I often feel left out at a dance is the line dances where everybody knows the move and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but you just kind of follow it. So do you teach line dancing?
We do. We do teach line dancing as well. I myself have done that for a long time. It's a lot of fun, and it does cater to the singles well too. If people just really aren't interested in partner dancing, and it's become popular again. I mean, we have 2 other ladies at our studio that I've trained to teach line dancing because it's that popular, and we have a class going now on Monday nights. So it's a lot of fun.
Do you still know how to do the hustle?
I do know how to do the hustle.
I would have been disappointed if
Yeah,
your repertoire was limited to the moon dance. So.
No, I know the hustle. The hustle's a lot of fun. It's fast. It can be.
Good. Okay, good. So let's talk about the health benefits of dance, movement, music. And maybe before we start that, it's kind of hard for me to imagine you can clearly distinguish the movement from the music and maybe even the socialization that happens. I mean, all 3 of those, and then there may be other things you want to throw in, but kind of a trifecta of joy coming from movement, music, and socialization. But how would you answer the question? What are the health benefits of dance?
Dr. Deming, when I went back to school for my master's, I had the opportunity to really focus in on something. And at that time, my father had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And so it led me on this journey to really investigate, how does dance benefit people with these neurological symptoms? And what I found since then, that was back in 2015 that I began that research, is whether you have Parkinson's or you have depression or you have cancer, you are going to benefit in all of the same ways. Dancing releases joy like nothing else I've ever seen. And I know that's anecdotal. I'm working on a way to really study that, but I feel like I run a joy factory when I offer a class. And it's not limited to the 5 senses that you and I have, because we launched a program last summer with the Department for the Blind. And I have teenagers coming in who cannot see like we can, but their faces are lighting up and beaming. I mean, the music and the movement is releasing as much joy as somebody who can see what's happening around them. And so I think that what's happening in the brain is something unique when we're dancing, that's allowing us to feel like we've stepped out of our daily life, like we're removed from the stresses. And, people leave happier than when they walk in. They leave more confident. Part of my Parkinson's research has shown that, yes, is walking improved. Balance can be improved with dancing. There's even hormonal shifts that can happen with dancing regularly and moving your body to music. So I think that the sky's the limit, really, with dancing. And I know I'm biased, right? I'm totally biased, but I've gotten to see over and over and over that both individually and relationally, people are elevated out of their symptoms when they dance.
And I'm aware of research that looks at certainly movement and synchrony, and there's whether it is marching band or whether it's the military marching or whether it is rowing in sync in crew, there is something about movement that is rhythmic, and then rhythmic music in combination with others that are, you don't have to necessarily be doing exactly the same. Obviously, in dancing, you might be mirroring, but that there is definitely research showing positive health benefits out of doing something like that. And then the NIH is still doing a lot of studies with the music and the role that
Mhm.
music, whether listening or performing, whether singing or
Mhm.
instrumental, and how that works. I mean, we've all experienced that. I mean, you go to, I mean, the composers know how to do that. There's a reason we cry at certain
Yeah.
songs in a musical, even if
Mhm.
they're sung in a foreign language. I mean, part of it's the plot, but there's chords that definitely can affect us in
Yes.
ways emotionally. Um,
Mhm.
so obviously to get the combination of the movement and the dance, and then obviously you're not teaching a solo dance where somebody is just in the room by themselves, although that could be
Right.
joyful, but there's also the socialization that happens. Um,
Absolutely. Community is a huge piece. Yes, being in the room with other people and having that communal experience is huge.
and laughter, I'm sure, is part of every class.
It's part of every one of my classes. I think
Yeah.
you have some people in the room there that will vouch for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so tell us about the different classes that you have that you're doing with sort of this medical model
Mhm.
where you're organizing classes that might be organized around a particular medical di- diagnosis, and
Mhm.
which ones you currently are doing, and then we'll talk about maybe some examples of successes that you've seen.
So the partnership I've had with the APDA, that's the American Parkinson's Disease Association of Iowa, has been running now for over 10 years. And a really neat component of that is when I relocated to Des Moines in 2016, we were able to bring Des Moines University into that. So we have Des Moines University students that come and participate as partners with people with Parkinson's. Some people with Parkinson's choose to have their spouse as their partner, which I am all for, but not everybody has a partner with them. And so the DMU students really are exposed to the research as well on the fly. They learn to dance, so it's a very level playing field. They don't know how to dance either, but they're exposed to what's happening in the patient as they're dancing and learning. And that's a class that I personally facilitate. I've done that now, like I said, for about a decade, and it's taken shape in the parameters differently, but it's now consistently offered in the fall and in the spring, and it runs for 12 weeks each time. And so it's a ballroom dance class. I always say in all of my classes, whether you have a disease or not, today is about dancing. We're here to learn to dance. So we don't really focus on the disease, but there's a
Mhm.
collective component of all the people there that may have the similar diagnosis. And then I tailor it specifically based on, my knowledge of what's going to serve them best. So for example, I would probably lean toward dances like the tango and the swing for Parkinson's because of the way that those dances are built and how they are going to move the body in a certain way.
And with the DMU partnership and the Parkinson's Association, over the years have you done specific studies where you do pre and post
Mhm.
analysis of either balance or other physical and do you also do like quality of life surveys or
Mhm.
other validated instruments to assess not just the physical outcome but also the psychosocial
Yes, that's a
outcomes?
great question. We've done both. It takes shape a little differently because I really put the ball in the court of the DMU students, and that's another way they can get involved. They will apply for an official study through their program, and I'm just so fortunate that they choose to use this class for their research. And we've done pre and post gait research. So how are people walking and taking steps progressively better before and after the class. We've also done the psychosocial, where we'll do a pre and post analysis for people with Parkinson's and their spouse or partner. So they're all asked, how is your mood coming in? How is your mood going out? And currently, I have a group of gals who are students at the university, and they're going to be doing a balance pre and post test as well.
Great, great. So that's one of the classes is the Parkinson's
Mhm.
class.
Yep.
And then maybe talk a little bit about the class with Above and Beyond Cancer.
Yes, that's a new thing that we've been doing, but it's been this will be going on 3 years now with you all, and it's called Dance Adventure, which is great, and it's really for me a celebration of being free to do something new, do something you love, step outside the box. It is a partner class, and most people who are participating in the Above and Beyond class that we host are bringing a partner with them. But we've had the opportunity to use some Des Moines ballroom volunteers too for those people that don't have a partner, because I never want anyone to let that be the reason that they're not coming because they don't have a partner. But we've done the swing in that class. We've done the waltz. I believe last year I threw in some foxtrot, and we keep it fun. We keep everybody moving. And my goal isn't for you to take that class in 6 weeks and be ready for Dancing with the Stars. But my goal is for people who take that class to feel confident to keep dancing, even if it's just in their kitchen with their spouse,
Yeah.
or to go to someone's wedding and show off a little bit.
And the Above and Beyond group, how is that once a week, and how many weeks does that last?
Yep, we've done 6 weeks, and it's once a week for an hour. And so I try to pack in as much as I can in those 6 weeks. It goes by really fast. It happens in January. So it's like, what else are you going to do? Come to the studio and get a little warm, you know? It's cold outside. So it's a lot of fun. We dance for, I try to talk very little. I want people moving as much of the time as possible. So we dance for about 55 minutes every week. And I'm always open to suggestions too. I think I had a couple in that class that asked me if we could do just a little bit of polka. So I think I threw in like a little bit of polka. You know, I'm like a DJ. I'm willing to be a jukebox if I need to, and pull out whatever we have time for.
And did you also do a special young adult group?
We did. That was a one-night workshop, which was really fun. They came to the studio, and I think they had maybe some drinks and appetizers, and then we did an hour and a half workshop where I believe I taught them the swing, the basics of the swing, and the basics of the salsa. So 2 dances that kind of marry pretty well.
And when you are doing the ballroom dancing classes for, the recreational, they're not going to be competing, do you usually use real songs or that are, with vocals, or do you use kind of a more traditional, just the structure of a waltz?
Mm-hmm.
And do you use contemporary music? So I teach a spin class, and I've got people of all different ages. And, although you can get the rhythm, the people love to hear songs that they're familiar with and might be singing along while they're doing the physical activity. I'm just curious, in a dance class, do you try to do structured music that's more just instrumental and focus on the movement, or are they hearing songs they already know?
That's a great question. You know, I lean towards contemporary music that people know, because I do think that elevates the mood of the room. If it's a country class, we're playing country music, right? And I try to lean towards the newer stuff, but I'm always listening for a beat that I know is true to the dance, because I want them to learn it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want a song where they can hear it easily. You know, I always lean back on My Girl by the Temptations when I'm teaching the box step, because it's got a nice steady beat that everyone can hear. And who doesn't like the Temptations?
Yes. Great. Yeah, I like that. In the world of spin class, you can buy these pre-made that have the beat that's exactly the beat, but that's sort of a fake kind of music.
Yeah, we have that in Ballroom too, where it's like the specific beats per minute. It's great for practicing if you're going to a competition, but not as fun for just a beginner class.
Right. So, excuse me. So in addition to Parkinson's disease and the Above and Beyond cancer, do you have any other specific groups of people that you'd like to call out that you have programs for? Or are you thinking of expanding to other situations like, stroke patients, or I should say stroke survivors, or anything else that you can think of?
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because I recently got invited to do a workshop at On With Life, and I was there working a lot with stroke survivors and people who have spinal cord injuries. I'm very passionate about exposing anybody who can benefit from dancing. Anybody can. I mean, that was a very successful workshop. I always feel like I walk away noticing that people are feeling better than they did when they walked in. I'm very interested in growing a relationship with them, with that On With Life. We're also really interested in getting young people, like really young people, to love to dance again. So I'm in a couple schools. I go to a few private schools in Des Moines where their PE teacher is really on board with kids learning to dance. And so we'll go in for a week or two and we'll just every day during PE teach kids how to dance. This is kids who are in about 4th grade to 8th grade. It's a good age range for them to really be able to participate and not, think, too much about themselves. So that's an area where we're really interested in growing too, is just getting young people to love to dance. And I would love there to be a revival where we have dance parties happening all over Des Moines, like it was, back before I was born.
Yeah. So, a question, and you might not know this, but do public schools teach dancing? I mean, I grew up in South Dakota in the 50s and 60s, and we had social dance. I mean,
Yeah.
mandatory PE. We had to learn how to square dance and do the box step, and we did that
Mm.
in junior high and in high school. Do they have time for that in schools nowadays?
What I found is it really comes down to the educator, whoever's in charge of the PE program. If they see a value in that, then I get a call from them. But it's not as widespread, I think, as it used to be. I went to public school at Indianola, and we did have somebody come in and teach us some line dancing and square dancing, but it was pretty minimal. And so, my heart is really for those kids that would want to like really grasp this and keep doing it. Obviously, it's a lifelong sport. It's like golf, not quite as expensive, but it's something that you can do for the rest of your life. And so I would love for more public schools to want to bring us into their PE classes.
Great. What about classes for individuals that are experiencing mental health issues,
Mhm.
either depression, anxiety? Have you ever? I'm just trying to imagine how one might organize that sort of a
Mhm.
class, whether it would be done in a, for those that might be in a care facility or hospitalized,
Mhm.
or just outpatient. Have you had any mental health care providers that have reached out to you to ask about?
I have done one-off workshops for groups of adults with mental disabilities. So not quite what you're asking there with the depression, but that's something that I've niched into kind of their ask of an outing, and we want with this group of individuals to have an experience dancing. Always up for that. The other thing that comes to mind that I have way more experience with is even when I was living in the Iowa City area. For the last 15 years, I've probably been in over 50 different care facilities for elderly people who have dementia, a lot of memory care units. And to go into those rooms, put everybody in a chair in a circle, to turn on the ballroom music, I'll dance and invite them to dance with me, is a very rich experience. And I often get asked to come back because these residents may not have a lot of interaction otherwise, but there's something about the music, there's something about the dancing and the recognition of that really makes them come alive.
Yes. Any other situations or any other groups that you're thinking of designing programs for?
Anybody
Okay.
willing.
Okay.
I just think that we all should be dancing more. I'm like at my house with my kids, we have dance parties all the time. And it's a great way to transition from one thing to a next. It's a great way if you have a kid with a temper tantrum, just turn on a good song, get them dancing, and it's amazing how it will diffuse the energy and move you through. So, yeah, the sky's the limit. I think we just need more dance parties in Des Moines.
So, are there enough places in Des Moines to go dancing? I
That's
mean,
a great question.
where
I
do
think
you
the answer
where do
is
you
no.
what's that?
Um, I think the answer is no, but we're working on that. There are little niche areas like the salsa community definitely has their thing going, and they have salsa nights that hop around in a few different bars and things. But in terms of the ballroom dancing, we're really trying to bring that back. We host an event at the Scottish Rite downtown in their large ballroom in December, where we have a 20-piece orchestra. Everybody dresses up, and it is a ballroom dance for 4 hours. People are dancing to live music. It's waltz, foxtrot, all of it. And so we're trying to create more events like that in Des Moines for people to look forward to and have a reason to dance.
So when you do that at Scottish Rite, do you, in the weeks leading up to the ballroom dance, do you teach dance classes?
We
there?
do. We have a couple classes that we really gear people toward if they're trying to prepare for dancing at that event. We also do a lot of performing at that event too. So it's a great way for people to come and spectate if they just want to see kind of that higher level dancing get performed too.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I think we're going to open up for questions. So we have a live studio audience, a large live studio audience here today. If you are watching us live streaming, you can ask questions as well. Just put your questions in the comments section of the software you're using to watch us live, but we'll let our studio audience get first shot at questions. So Kevin's first.
Yes, have you thought of looking at populations that are incarcerated?
Oh.
How about incarcerated populations?
I personally don't have experience with that yet, but I do know I had 2 friends in graduate school that actually took dance into women's prisons. They were women, and they were doing like a modern dance class in a women's prison. But a ballroom, I don't know quite how that would work. I'll noodle on that because I'm up for anything.
Okay. Good idea, Kevin. Next.
I just wanted to get a comment in here because it's a good one from a viewer on Facebook. Kirsten says, my survivor's spouse and I attended the January 2025 offering through Above and Beyond Cancer and loved it. It was a fun weeknight date, and we had some great laughs. We need to get back in for some more lessons. Tallis is a fantastic instructor and just a great soul.
Oh, that's so nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the shout out.
Yes.
Other questions? Here we go. Angelina.
Hi, I'm a retired preschool teacher. And one thing, I come from a musical family background. So music and dancing, and I'm a Latina, always in that combination, Yeah. But I would introduce music, and I noticed that a lot of the centers I worked at, they didn't do a lot of dancing. Is that something you would be open to? Like if a center called you and said, hey, could you help us teach some kids? Like sometimes we have the gym and we'll play ball, but there's other things we could do.
So like in a child care center.
Yes,
absolutely.
Would you be open to that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And I actually have a gal on my team who is a child therapist and a ballroom dance teacher at the studio. And so, I mean, between the both of us, we could get them equipped. There's a lot of fun dance games that work really well for little kids that start to teach them the elements of the tango, for example, but they don't realize it. They think they're just playing a game. So absolutely.
Oh, awesome.
So some of the terminology you use makes me wonder, because you talk about ballroom dancing, but then there's line dancing, and then there's modern dance. Do you think obviously there's difference, and if you're competing, there's very differences, but do you think that there's anything fundamentally different in how the brain and the body and the benefits that we get from ballroom dancing, and I think of ballroom dancing, please correct me if I'm wrong, as 2 people together.
Yes.
And that, I think of modern dance, it can be done, people can be doing their own thing. Now, obviously in a competition or in a show, it's synchronized. But if I think of modern dance as being able to be done solo, and that ballroom dancing typically would not be a solo thing.
No, the element of connection in ballroom dance is what sets it apart from those other styles. Obviously, if you're dancing by yourself, you're going to benefit emotionally from listening to the music and moving your body and getting cardiovascular activity going on. But when you and I are looking at each other and holding each other, there's physical touch, there's eye contact, usually. And so those mirror neurons are firing. And it's a collective shared experience that you can't replicate when you're dancing by yourself.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes. And I love the song your dog's singing. It's really
Thank you. Sorry about my
got
dog.
an,
I'm like,
I
can
don't know.
somebody?
It's probably more of a tango than a waltz. But
Yeah, a little bit.
other questions? Poon.
Yes. Is there health benefits for people doing dances in classroom, for example, like Zumba and cardio dance?
Yeah. So maybe talk about those more dance and music things that happen like in fitness centers, whether it's Zumba or jazzercise or cardio dance. How do you characterize that type of
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of all dancing. I'm a big fan of
movement
cardio
and
dance.
what
I think anything that gets you moving, that utilizes music that makes you feel good, is a good thing. Okay. So if you're having a good time moving your body and the music is elevating your experience, you're benefiting physically, emotionally, spiritually, maybe. So all good. All dance is good as long as it makes you feel good.
good. Great. Other questions? Yes, Fred.
Well, I came tonight because I wanted to be sure and give a testimonial because Sandy, my wife, and I, we have done, I think, 3 sessions through the American Parkinson Disease Association, and then one of the early sessions with Above and Beyond Cancer as well. And I can attest to everything that you talked about, particularly the joy. And Sandy and I laugh a lot when we did. I don't know if you noticed or didn't notice, but we laughed a lot during all of the sessions, the joy of just being together and moving. I also wanted to say that one of the benefits, I think that's hard to measure, particularly for Parkinson or atypical Parkinson, whatever the neurological illness, is they're progressive diseases. And so a lot of, I think for us, is to try and slow down the progress of the disease, which I think is hard to measure in quantitative terms, but we recognize it. You know, Sandy and I recognize it. I also came because I thought it would charge me, and I don't know, did we lose?
we did.
Yeah.
So if you're watching us right now, we have lost our connection with Tallis Strub. So we'll try to bring her back. But Fred, thank you for that testimonial.
Okay.
So Fred Nelson, cancer survivor, and his wife, Sandy, Parkinson's patient, have done ballroom dancing with Tallis for both the Cancer Above and Beyond Cancer group and the Parkinson group.
Yeah.
So,
And I was going to tell Tallis that one of the reasons I came too is I thought it would charge me. I've been trying to talk Sandy into doing another session. Her movement is not as good as it's been, and I think that's
so it would inspire you to
Yeah.
ask her. When you said charge you, I thought you were trying to get like a free gift certificate so that you wouldn't get charged. Let's see if we have Tallis back.
Back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
That's okay. Probably your dog chewed the cable.
Yeah, maybe.
So you missed it, but the audience heard a beautiful testimonial that Fred gave about the wonderful classes that he and his wife Sandy
Yes.
have done with you, a couple with the Parkinson's class and one with the Above and Beyond Cancer. So he said that being part of listening to you tonight has inspired him to try to talk Sandy into doing another session this winter. So
Good. Thank you, Fred.
Other questions?
I just wanted to ask about the connection between sports and dancing, in particular, 2 sports. One which makes a lot of sense. Another sport people may not think of, but golf, in particular. The one of the great icons of golf, Sam Snead, said, "Good golfers are good dancers," and vice versa. I mean, you've got to be fluid, you've got to be coordinated, you got to be oily almost, and I think there's a real cross connection there. I wondered if you had considered that, if you ever have anybody come to you for a sports connection, because the other sport, and the doctor mentioned figure skating being a lot like dancing, but also hockey, believe it or not. The people that are fluid, that are agile, that are coordinated on their skates, you're not dance. Well, you can dance if you throw down the mitts, I suppose. But the idea is you've got to be like a dancer, and oftentimes you're partnered up with somebody in those sports. So there you go.
So I'll have you answer that question, which is broadly just the relationship between sport and dance. But then you also have to say, which sport athlete do you think makes the best dancer?
Oh, okay.
But first, what about the relationship, the movement, and how the movement of dance may parallel the movement of certain sports? What do you think? Golf, hockey?
Yeah. Tons of parallels. I have worked specifically with a couple golfers, actually, and boxers. So I actually worked with a guy who was trying to elevate his boxing career. And he thought, which is great on his part, that dancing would help him, and it did. So we met in private lessons. Both of the golfers I know of for sure. I'm sure I've worked with a ton of golfers, and I don't know, but they came in with their wives, right? And they talked to me about how, oh, when you say that, it makes me think of golf. Oh, my golf instructor also said the same thing. So tons of crossover. Anything that requires agility, anything that requires, like, I love how you said oily, like that lack of resistance to the sport can benefit from dance. I've worked with, I won't name names, but I've worked with a couple prominent football coaches and like some of the things they're doing, which is cool. But to answer your question, Dr. Deming, I've had the privilege of doing a couple different charity events where it's like a Dancing with the Stars thing. And I'm paired with a retired football player or a retired basketball player. And in my experience, and they were all men, right? Because I'm female, so I was always paired with a man. So this is a broad brush, and it's just to the men that I've worked with. But the one that was the most agile naturally was actually a basketball player.
Okay.
So, it can be surprising, but I think that agility is there's a lot of running in basketball. There's a lot of like quick changes. And so he took to the choreography probably better than most.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Another question, Poon.
Yes. Someone coming to your dance classes, what type of shoes would you recommend?
Oh, good question. So my recommendation for beginners is whatever you are comfortable in that won't come off your feet. So I don't allow flip-flops or sandals that are going to slip off. But if a tennis shoe or a street shoe is what you're really comfortable in and you're just getting started, that is great. We do sell shoes, actual ballroom shoes at the studio. So if you get going and you find like, I really want a little heel or I want something that's made for dancing, it's going to have a suede sole. So it's going to help you kind of move across the floor a little bit smoother. Then we can get you in a ballroom shoe at that point.
So about ballroom shoe, you want it to be able to slide a bit, I would imagine. But
Yes.
I'm sure there's this the sort of a tension between being a good sliding, but you're not going to lose. So you got to have a little bit of grip, but you have to have some slide. So you said the sole is suede, so it's leather
it's
that
a
is
leather
sueded.
sole, and it's suede. So when you first buy your shoe, they're really smooth and soft. And then as you use them, they get more slick, right? Because that gets worn down. So then we have what are metal wire shoe brushes that you'll scuff your suede up with, and you'll kind of like cut it up on the bottom. So if you see somebody doing that, you're like, oh, they're not a beginner. They know what they're doing over there. You'll see them kind of scratching their shoes.
Wow. Okay, great. Other questions? Any other questions from the group, from the virtual? Well, this has been so much fun, Tallis. I can only imagine how much fun. So I will commit to doing dance class because I just think you are just talking to you brings joy. So I can only imagine, add a little movement and music. So this has been wonderful. So our guest tonight has been Tallis Strub, and Tallis is a former competitive ballroom dancer and now is the ballroom dance instructor and owner of Des Moines Ballroom. So thank you so much for being our guest. And we'll definitely, next time we do it, we'll do it live where we maybe can throw in a few dancing demonstrations as part of the as
Yes,
part of our
we'll have to
conversation.
dance live together. I apologize I'm not in studio with you tonight, but yes, next time we will dance.
Well, thank you. And if anyone watching the show tonight knows of someone that would benefit by watching it, this program will be available on demand beginning tomorrow at the Above and Beyond Cancer YouTube channel and also the Mercy Cancer Center website. I hope you join us again next week. Thanks, everyone.